Hey everyone, it's Traven with Clinician CEO, and today we're going to kick off our Wellness Clinic launch course. It's a totally free course that walks you through A to Z how to start and launch your wellness clinic. And so inside of this, it's going to be so much value for you. We're going to start at the infancy, going over things like your name, your brand, move on to helping you understand, how to get your medical director, what type of supplies and location and picking your clinic type and marketing strategies. Just there's going to be so much value in this. And, I really believe in providing value before anyone works with me. And so that's what this course is all about. And so as we get started with the course, please go through and get an understanding of what it takes to launch your clinic. Do these things yourself if you feel comfortable doing so. And in any event that you don't, please feel free to reach out to us and we'll be more than happy to help. So in this first video, what we're going to be going over is your clinic identity and brand foundation. And so as we go through this, you're going to get a better understanding of this first step that you should definitely take when it comes to launching your wellness clinic. So let's get started. So first is going to be the agenda for today. So we're going to talk about your wellness clinic identity and why exactly that comes first and why you shouldn't hop into other things. Next, defining what your clinic stands for, then choosing your name and style and how you should go about doing that. And then lastly, I'll give you a few key takeaways and some next steps that you can take to go ahead and put this into action. And I'll be walking you through some templates as we go through each of these agenda items. So first, before we get started, share this course. Let's help more NPs and RNs build freedom through ownership, right? That is what I'm here to do, is help you get out of the situation that brought you to this course, whether that's you working bedside, whether you're working outpatient, you're already doing these type of services, but something in you has decided that you want to own your own business. And I applaud you for taking the first step to do that. And so let's help other NPs and RNs do the same. Now, keep in mind that if you share this with any of your friends, family, or other people that want to also kind of go into this same sphere and field, you'll get a 40% commission if they pay for anything that we offer. And so keep that in mind, share that invite. Let's grow this out and let's help more and more people. Next, I just want to provide a warning. So this is the most important video in this entire course. So try not to skip ahead or skip through or do anything like that, because you're going to get a lot of value out of this. And it's going to help you set you on the course or path that you need to continue on launching your wellness clinic. Pro tip, watch this at 1.75 speed. I do it. I'm not going to judge you for doing it. That way you can get through this a lot faster and get to moving forward and taking the steps you need to. So first, let's talk about why this comes first. So your clinic identity comes first because one, every clinic should do this. You need to define your identity before making any other decision. And now I'll get into why that is. So your clinic identity influences your services, your marketing, building patient trust, and also hiring. So we want to do this early on. So as we go through these next steps of you picking out your services that you're going to do and why you're going to do those services, building out your marketing strategies, understanding how to build patient trust. And also when you begin to start hiring, you can have these types of things in mind to filter through when you're making those sort of decisions. Skipping this step can also lead to costly mistakes down the road and a ton of rework. So I'll give you an example. Let's say you add on a service, there's a trend, you add on this service, and let's say there's not a whole lot of information around it, but it's popular, everyone's buying it, it's going to give money, to your bottom line, so you add it. But then you realize, what, this service doesn't have a lot of information behind it. It's not actually truly helping my patients. They're paying all this money for it. And that's just not in alignment with how you wanted to set up your clinic from the start. Well, now you've done all this work, you've probably done all this marketing, you built out your EMRs for this, you probably built out your CRM for this, just all these different activities that you had to take in order to add this service. And now you come to the conclusion that, it doesn't align with my identity. So now you have to either undo all those things or you just wasted a bunch of time and money up front to put this or implement this service into your clinic. And so this is the type of thing that we can do early on to make sure, as we're thinking about making those types of decisions, that we can really have a good, well-rounded, filtering mechanism or process to see whether we should make that decision or not. Then next, when you have a good understanding of your identity, you can move forward with a lot more clarity. Now, I'm not saying this is going to give you all the answers, but again, it's just one step that you can take to make sure that when you are making decisions, they're a lot more clear. So defining what your clinic stands for. So in order to make those decisions, three key parts to your clinic identity are going to be your mission, your vision, and your values. I'm sure you've seen a lot of other corporations that do this that you may have worked for previously. There's a reason for this. And if done right, it can truly help you. So your mission is going to explain why your clinic exists today. So this is the present. Your vision describes where you want your clinic to go long term. So this is looking into the future. This is your North Star. And then your values are going to guide how decisions are made inside of your business each day. Right? So I'm going to hop over here to a template for us. And we're going to get taking a look at your brand story. So I made this template to ultimately help you decide and write out what your mission, vision, and values are. But on this first piece here is your origin story. So the reason I want you to write this out is because as you go through the process of launching your clinic, even once you launch, and there's going to be tough days, there's going to be hard days, you're going to be making investments in yourself. You want to always remember why you're doing this. This will help you get up every day. This will help you keep moving forward and staying motivated. So in each one of these, I've created an example that I've written out for myself, right? So why did you start this clinic? What pain point are you solving? This is your why. So after working as a healthcare consultant for many years, I felt like that chapter of my life was coming to a close. My brother was a registered nurse with the dream of becoming an NP and having his own practice. Through my passion of helping people, I set out to help him realize his dream and open a new chapter of my life. Right. So that's my why. So at any time that I get discouraged or frustrated, I can always come back to this and say, you know what, this is why I'm doing this. This is why I set on this journey. And that can always keep me grounded. So write out your story, whether or not you want to go to ChatGPT, quickly write out, in your own words, what you believe your why is, and then have it dress it up. However you decide to do that, have your why, whether you put it on paper or not, but I recommend putting it on paper, writing it out to yourself, and you'll always have this in the back of your head. So next is your mission, right? So your mission is, why does your business exist? And what change do you want to create for your clients, community, or industry? So again, this one is present tense. So you want to declare the purpose of your business that reflects your values and the transformation that you deliver for your clients, right? So an example for Pure Health and Wellness, our mission at Pure Health and Wellness is to make a real, effective healthcare accessible and straightforward. We offer affordable, science-backed treatments without the confusion, upselling, or barriers found in traditional healthcare. We educate our patients, treat them with respect, and help them take control of their health so they can feel better and live healthier lives, right? So when we opened Pure, we were all about making sure people didn't feel like a number and making sure that we were real and transparent with people about what we do, how it helps them, right? We weren't making weight loss strips that you come get once a month and say, hey, that's going to help you lose weight, right? There's a lot of people that do that. Or every time you come into the clinic, they're just trying to upsell you into a membership or something like that. So that was always our mission, to make these things accessible to people who don't have a whole lot of disposable income, who still need to benefit from getting these long-term services, to not trying to force people into something and upselling just for increasing our revenue. Now, granted, if that's what you want to do, that's what you want to do, but that was our mission. So write out your mission. So as you move forward, again, you know exactly what type of decisions you need to make around what you initially set out for your clinic to be. Next is going to be your vision, right? So this is long-term. This is looking far into the future. This is where we get to dreaming. And, I'm from a very humble beginning, so I'm all about dreaming, right? So what do you want your business to be in 3 to 5 years? And trust me, this may change, but just think about that and then write out one sentence about what that looks like. See, for Pure, we want to be a one-stop shop, right? So we do IV therapy, weight loss, hormone therapy, Botox, lip filler, labs, and if you can see here, we don't do sick visits yet, but it's on our plan within the next 6 months to a year to add in sick visits as well, because our vision is to be a trusted one-stop shop for wellness, preventative care, and sick visits, making it simple, accessible, and convenient for people, right? And so this is your 3 to 5 year plan in one sentence, your North Star. So again, when you're trying to make decisions about what services to add, you can always ask yourself, like, is this aligned with my vision? If yes, add. If no, why doesn't it align with my vision? Okay, can I alter my vision a little to do this service? And then you can really start thinking about, again, deeply, if you should add that service. Next is going to be your brand personality and your core values. So you want to write these out because for me, these mostly help with hiring, but they also help you make decisions inside of your clinic day to day, especially when you're dealing with clients and patients. And sometimes it can be frustrating. Sometimes you're going to have to make decisions on like whether or not to give a discount or if someone calls with any issue. It's just kind of like, okay, how are we going to present ourselves to the world? And how do we want our employees to present themselves to the world? And so, for example, I got to go through all of these, but transparency, family first, care, respect, trust, and safety, right? So let's say I'm hiring somebody and I'm trying to decide whether they're going to be a good fit for us. Well, these are some key questions that I may ask in the hiring process to decide whether I want to hire this person or not. Now, it wouldn't be as explicit as this, but I would ultimately trying to get to the foundation of, does this person align with what we think our core values are and how we like to treat our patients? It's I'm interviewing someone and they don't seem to be respectful, they don't seem to be a type of person who are family first and very kind, that I may not hire them because ultimately they're not going to carry out my core values inside of the clinic day to day when they're dealing with our clients. So that's kind of what these things are. Again, every Fortune 500 company does this, and there's a reason for it. And if you use these to your advantage, you can really, really help yourself make decisions and build consistency in your business. And that's ultimately going to help you in the long run because there's less stress. You can move a lot faster and you always stay grounded. So go through this template and do these. I promise you, it will be a very, very helpful. You can put them up in your clinic, you can put them on your website, and it really tells the world about how you proceed in your business and growing and in your life. So let's hop back over here to the PowerPoint and we're going to go back in. And so the next step we want to do is look at choosing your clinic name and style. So it's the point in time where you want to do this early on. You're going to be building a lot of assets as you go through the process of launching your clinic. And so this is a very key piece, right, with your name. Now, you might already have a name in mind that you've already chosen. And so as we go through this, just see if your name checks off all the boxes and you perform these steps to make sure your name is available to you. So first and foremost is your clinic name should be clear, professional, and flexible for growth while indicating what you are and potentially what you do. So I want to tell you a story. So when we opened up Pure Health and Wellness, we went by this name here, Pure Drip. And we thought it was the coolest name. We're like, man, it's trendy. It comes with the times. It also kind of says what we do. But what we ended up realizing was, 6 months down the road, every time somebody would ask us about what we do, they would always assume we were just an IV drip spa because our name was Pure Drip. And so that was frustrating for us. And it made us stay up every night thinking like, hey, but we also do all of these other services, but people are fixating on the fact that our name says Pure Drip and that aligns with IV therapy. And so we changed our name 6-7 months down the road. And it was such a large undertaking. Like we had to change our website domain, migrate our website. We had to go to our vendors, change our name with our vendors, and so on and so forth. It was such a big thing. And I don't want you to get in that same predicament down the road either. And so think to yourself, if you're going to name yourself, I'm here in Houston. Let's say I'm in Sugarland, though. Let's say I named our business, Sugarland Med Spa, for instance. Well, if I want to add locations down the road, and I want to be in a different area of Houston, maybe Pearland now, but my name is Sugarland Med Spa. Although that's going to be really great for Sugarland, it's not going to be good if I want to have brand continue my branding on into a different area or town or city or state. So you want to pick a name that ultimately will grow with you. Again, this is just saying that one more time. You want to avoid creating a name that will prevent you from adding services and locations in the future, while also, this is an important part of this, avoiding overlapping with other businesses in the same industry, right? So you don't want to get too close to someone else's name. We're going to walk through some steps you can take to make sure of that. So, right, number one, Google your name to ensure that other businesses in your city and state, at the very least, do not share the same name, or even a name that I would say is adjacent to your name. So why am I telling you to do this? Well, let's say someone goes and Googles pure health and wellness, and someone's name, in, at the very least in Houston, but even in the state, is, you know, pure health and wellness, but it's PURE health and wellness, for instance. Well, we have to make a decision here. Yeah, there's a little bit of difference, but let's say that business has been around for 10 years. Well, if that business has been around for 10 years, Google is going to give them more cachet. Google is going to prioritize them in search over our business, right? Just about no matter what, especially if they're in Houston. And so when people are looking for your business, you want to show first for your name, especially if and we'll talk about this a lot later, the services that you offer. So you want to be careful with that. And also, you don't know how they're operating their business over there. They could be treating patients badly at that business. They could have had some emergencies, done some things wrong, got into some trouble, and now their branding is potentially getting put on you because your name is so close, right? And so these are the type of things you want to prevent. And then even more, just in general, you don't want to be associated with someone else's business. You want a unique name that speaks uniquely to you and what you do. So, go to Google, check this. The next thing I want you to do is do a quick domain search. So I'm going to show you what that looks like, right? So I use Hostinger. That's the hosting I use for my website, but you can use GoDaddy or anything. And you just want to put in, the domain that you think that you want to use. So in a domain is your .com, right? So our domain is purehw.com, right? So in this case, it's going to say it's taken, but in any other case, you want to put in your domain and you want to see if it's already taken or not, and then see if what you can do to your domain that still aligns with your brand identity to get one that hasn't been taken, right? And I'm going to always say, don't pick a domain that is not a .com. You can, don't get me wrong, you can choose a .net or .io or something like that, but most people are going to trust .coms over those businesses. Even with sending emails and things like that, it can get kind of dicey with choosing something that's not a .com, just because other type of dots can be seen as scams or not real websites and stuff like that. So choose a .com and then take the name that you have selected and try to make it into a short, brief domain that people can easily type in or find, right? Now, granted, now in this day of age, most people are going to Google, they're not going to put in your exact domain, but you never know. You want one that speaks to your brand and can be, continuity across what you've decided as far as your identity goes. So again, it doesn't matter which domain search that you use, just make sure to use a domain search to see if it is going to be available to you. The next thing we want to do here is we want to look at checking your social media, right? So we want to make sure that the handle that you want to use is available to you. So when I say handle, what I mean is you want to go into Instagram and you want to see our handle is pure HW, okay? So, and then our name is Pure Health and Wellness. So you want to go into the search on Instagram and you want to type in that name, right? You want to type in Pure Health and Wellness. And then you want to see, okay, does any other business comes up that's close to my name? And you say, okay, well, my domain is this. I want my handle to be that as well. So then you want to put in Pure HW and see, okay, does someone else have that or something close to that that's also operating very adjacent to my business? So you can see if these things are available. Now, granted, this is not always going to be perfect. You can make a little bit of changes, but these are just the type of steps you want to take, because you don't want to pick a name, start your LLC, start, moving this name around the community saying, hey, I'm going to be this. And then you get on these things and you realize there's another business in town with that name, with that handle, with that domain. And now you're having to go back to the drawing board on your whole name, but potentially put in an LLC name change, all those great things. You just don't want to do that. And so this will help you at least get a well-rounded understanding of if your name is, free to use and is going to position you in the way that you want to be positioned. So the next thing I want you to do is then go to the trademark search, right? So this is the website. This is the government website. Do not use LegalZoom or pay anyone to check whether your name has been trademarked or not. You can go straight to the government site. It's a .gov, as you can see here, and take a look at this. So you want to go to this trademark search site, and then you want to put in your name that you're wanting to choose, and then you want to click search. and see if there are any type of trademarks that have been put in for your name. Now, if there is a trademark that's going to keep you from operating your name, it's going to say live here. If it says dead, that means it's not active and you're all good to go. And so again, the way these trademarks work is it's not a perfect science. It's definitely some nuance in the legal, parameters or requirements around trademarks. But if someone else is in a different industry than you, then even though their name may be like you see here, pure, that doesn't keep you from using that, right? In your industry. This is a drinking water, so we're not going to have any type of overlap when it comes to health and wellness and drinking water. So keep that in mind. Someone like maybe owns a cigar brand and in your name is what it is, and you're not related to cigars at all. Like there's not going to be a trademark infringement on that, right? You are very, very separated. And so again, you want to use this. This is one of those last resorts to just making sure that your name is available, because you don't want to get a cease and desist later on down the road that's going to force you to change your name. I do want to add as well that you also don't want to register or trademark your name at this point in time in your business. The juice is just not worth the squeeze. It's very expensive to trademark. You need a lawyer to do it and all these great things. And so it's just not worth doing it at this time. But as you expand and grow and start having multiple locations, potentially franchising, it would probably then be advantageous to protect your branding and identity. But at this point, all we're doing is checking to make sure that your name is available. Okay, so we're going to go back to the slides over here, and then we're going to click back into this. We're going to go back. All right, so next is we want to select your brand colors and your fonts that you want to remain consistent across your creatives. You want these to align with your identity as well. Now, let me say, you don't always have to use the same font, but it's always helpful to know what fonts you've been using and that you like. So when you are making assets, at the very least, it'll make your life a lot easier. I've made so many different assets that, it gets frustrating to try to remember what fonts you use one to the other or what colors, right? And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that here in a second and what I mean by that. So we're going to tab over again. We're going to go over here to this brand template. So this is a brand template that I created to help you not only have all your assets in one place, but also know what colors and what shade of colors you're using for your branding. You can send this, for instance, when someone's building your website, or if they may be building a logo for you, or even like you're building out some assets, you know exactly what to use, and you can always use this as a place to go see that. So for instance, here you can put your logo and then your brand colors. And so I recommend that you get Canva Pro. It's so helpful. There's templates in here. You're going to build out a lot of stuff yourself as you make your menu, business cards, things like that. You can print with Canva. It's very inexpensive. And so I recommend that. So you're going to have this link down below this video to use this brand template, but I just want to show you how it works. So for instance, we click here onto this one, and let's say you don't know what colors you want yet, but you're like, hey, I want a shade of red, for instance. So what you can come in here and first you can come in here and then you can change. Let's get back to this. You can change what shade it is. So you want to click this inner box, and then you can change what shade of red. So you're like, hey, I really like this shade of red for whatever reason. And then you can copy the code here. There's code C. And then you can put that code here. So now you always have that code available to you on what that brand color is. And so you can do that across all three of these. And then ultimately, if you're making any other assets, or you have someone building your logo, or you're building out your website, you can send this to them and you can make sure they're using the right shade of color that you want to use. Similar with fonts, right? So you can come in here, you can go pick a font that you like. That's here in Canva, and they have a ton of fonts. All you need to do is you can search fonts or just scroll down and just take a look at all the fonts they have, and you can choose what you like. And then once you do that, you can put that name here, Noto Serif Ethiopic Condensed, and then you can also see what that font looks like when it's capitalized versus when it's lowercase. And then you might have a secondary font where you can do the same. And so again, this is just a very quick, easy button to have this somewhere. You can save it on your computer in your Google Drive and always be able to reference it. So I did want to show you that. That's just one of those easy buttons and tips. And so you want to get all these things set before you get to moving on to the other parts of building out your clinic. So next, key takeaways. So just to finish this out, define your clinic identity before making any other decisions. You want to click your name, get your name. You want to get your colors. You want to get your, font. You want to get your logo made, all those great things. You want to write out your mission, vision, and values so they can guide all your future choices and decisions. You want to choose a name that allows room for you to grow. And then ultimately, you want to check your name availability and your trademarks early before you do your LLC, so you're not having to go back later on and change those things, which is ultimately going to cost you money and time. Lastly, choose your brand colors and style, then use those consistently. And then complete the identity worksheets that I've put below this video and the brand template for you to make your life a bit easier. Save those. I recommend you get a Google Drive and build out some folders in there so you know where everything related to your clinic is. So if you enjoyed this course, please let me know. Book a call with me if you think this process is something you want to do, but you want to go through it faster and you want to know, all of the different situations that you can hit up against. You want someone to confirm your compliance and your structure and what things you should be prioritizing. And you, ultimately, like I say, you want to move faster and avoid making any costly mistakes. Below this video, you can schedule a one-on-one call with me. In that one-on-one call, I'll just get a better sense of where you are now, where you're wanting to go. And then I'll provide you some next steps that you can take and also tell you a bit about what we do here at ClinicianCEO to help you get from where you are now to launching your clinic, a lot of times in as little as 12 weeks or less. So again, if you want to reach out to us, please feel free to do so. We would love to talk with you. We'd love to help you. That's exactly what we're here.